This is Lawtina Life.
Dropping out. I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do law school. Yeah. I'm so done.
Puro 956 right here.
I don't know who you think you are. You know,
It makes me aggressive. You want to see aggressive?
It makes me want to be.
Give me that. Like literally, give me that. Joking, but I'm not.
good. The fact that you don't like me as much as I do is weird.
That's odd.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Lawtina Live. I have a super special guest today. This is my professor actually this year and my coach for mock trial. Everybody knows I love mock trial. Attorney Timothy Adams.
Hey y'all.
If you want to introduce yourself a little bit, like where you went to school and just a little bit back about yourself.
Absolutely. My name is Tim Adams. Went to school. Let me tell you where I'm from. Jackson, Mississippi is where I'm from, and went to middle school, high school out there in Jackson. Freshman year, I went to Jackson State, but then I transferred to the University of Southern Mississippi, where I graduated, and then migrated over to Houston, where I went to law school at Thurgood Marshall School of Law.
Yeah.
And been here
Ever since?
then.
Okay, cool. So obviously we got to talk about mock trial.
Let's do it.
So this is my coach, the head coach, like the head of the whole program. And I owe like so much to you, all of what I know and like all of the coaches that you picked out to help out.
You
but
came in ready to go.
Oh, thanks,
Let's
coach.
not do that.
No, seriously. You know, if you're on the team, you know, like the advocacy program gives us so much. But so how did you become, first of all, you did mock trial in law school, right?
Yeah.
How did you like take me through the steps? Like you did mock trial in law school and then how did you become like the head coach?
So law school, you can't compete externally your first year.
Okay. Well, yeah.
But I did the 1L Board of Advocates, the in-house competition.
Okay.
And that was actually my very first experience with mock trial. We didn't have mock trial back in my day in undergrad and high school like it is now. But did it as a 2L for the competitive team. Loved it, competed every semester. Same for my 3L year. And then I graduated, went to the DA's office. So I was doing real trials after that. And I got a call one day from my predecessor, the person who was the director of advocacy before me. And she's like, hey, you want to come back and run the program? And I'm like, well, what happened to the old person that used to run the program? Because she was my coach. You know, we were close. And long story short, differences of opinions. And she was out. There was a vacancy. And in fact, that year, there had not been any mock trial competitions. And so the students were suffering because it's just a void at the law school.
Yeah.
Of course, I said yes. I had only been practicing for 2.5 years at that point. But I mean, I knew mock trial.
Right.
And I tried a bunch of cases at the DA's office, even at the 2-year mark. So I told her, yeah, let's do it. And what she didn't tell me I was also getting was a teaching gig as an adjunct, teaching trial sim. Yeah. Which is a trial skills course that is mandatory for all of our second-year law students.
I was just about to explain that.
Okay. Did that, started teaching, and started coaching. I was the director of mock trial at that point. It was just me. It's obviously a volunteer position.
Right.
But I know what mock trial did for me as a law student, and so I wanted to give that back to current law students.
Yeah. I mean, we have so many coaches. What is it, like 16?
Yes, 6. This is the most we've ever had.
16, I think. I'm like trying to think of the list that I made. I'm like 16, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think it's really cool. And what people don't realize about mock trial coaches is vast majority of the time, especially at Thurgood, nobody's paid.
Correct.
So they volunteer their $300 an hour at rate to us for free. And I think that's like invaluable. I don't think people realize. And then not only like they donate their time to us, but like they actually care, you know?
Yeah.
Like my coaches thus far, like the Marcus Esther, Marcus Pfeiffer, shout out to you guys.
No doubt.
John Paul Cedio, all of you guys, Danny Franco. Like there's way more coaches, but those are just the ones that have been over my teams. And like, I mean, they got awards for being good coaches and judges. Like they're awesome. Their experience has been like pouring into us has been just like invaluable.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If I can give a word of advice to anyone now coming in or really anyone in law school is to get into law school. Law school. Well, duh, right?
Yep, that's step one.
It is step one. First of all, get into law school. No, but get into mock trial. Get into the advocacy program. Even if you think you're not going to be good, even if you're scared, even if you're nervous, we'll beat it out of you. You know, we'll do so many reps, do it so many times that it's just like muscle memory. Yeah. But so what was your favorite part, or what is your favorite part of trial? Like the opening, closing, direct, cross?
Closing.
Really? Okay.
That was what I did in mock trial in law school. I had the same partner every competition, I believe.
Really?
Yeah, even the in-house competitions.
That's cool.
Yes.
That's actually really cool.
And she was a beast at opening. Closing came naturally to me because I get to just talk.
Right.
You know, it's less scripts and
yeah, me too.
Just talk and argue. So I love closings even in real trial today. Closings are my favorite part. And it's also like, you know, to make it a sports reference, you have the ball with the opportunity to shoot the last shot. You know, this is everything's on the line. No matter what happened prior to this point, you have an opportunity to bring it home. Yeah. And so
that makes sense.
You just go out there and do it.
Yeah. I think my favorite part is cross.
That's my second. Yeah. Is cross.
So okay, so here's what I think. I feel like opening and direct is in one little bundle, and cross and closing is in the other. But that's because I'm a closer. So I don't know, because I just don't vibe with opening as much as I do with closing. You know?
Opening's cool because you get to, you know, tell the story and set the tone. Right. But same with direct. You cannot, you know, direct is when you put out the evidence that you have and you throw your exhibits up. Right. It's a necessary part of trial, but it's just not as fun.
Yeah, for me. And, you know, so for other people who like to open, it's more fun than closing because they get to be like theatrical with it a little bit and not too much. Right. But like be able to, I don't know, a little more personality. That's what I've been told to me, but it's not fun for me. I will do it and I'll do it great, but I just prefer closing.
Your personality gets to shine, in my opinion, more in cross.
In closing. Yeah, me too. And then it's so crazy because my partners, obviously, since I'm the closer, they've been openers, and they're just beasts at opening. Yeah. And I'm like, so can you teach me? Yeah. Because I don't know how to do that the way you do it. Because it's really cool. And it's so weird how different personalities like translate to mock trial. Yep. Right? I think that's always been something that like kind of shocks me because I've met people who are so shy and they still make that work somehow in trial. Yeah. I don't get it. Because it's just not my personality, but I'm just like, wow, like, it's cool. It's really cool. You just get to showcase yourself. Yep. You know? People come out of their shells. They shock even me sometimes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sometimes they shock themselves. Yeah. They didn't think they had it in them. They always do, though. Yeah. Yeah. And then with the right coaching, of course, like I'm going to brag about my coaching and my coaches, like, for the rest of my life because it just takes a good type of coach to be able to bring someone's actual style out because what I've noticed with like other teams that I've gone against is that they're all kind of the same. They all have the same vibe, they all have the same, which is good. They have they win, but with Thurgood, like each individual advocate have their own style. We have their own way of doing our own way of doing things, even down to like what's it called, appearances. Yeah. And pre-trial, what is it called? The introductory matters. Yeah, all of that. Which for anyone who doesn't know, or maybe you do know, you just don't know what it's called. That's like before the trial starts. Before we even start trial, we introduce ourselves, and believe it or not, at that moment you can start already like winning. You know? Would you agree? Yeah. Yeah. First impressions aren't just for the real world. It's also for mock trial. Yeah. And that is the first impression that a judge has of the advocate. Right. Whether they're confident, whether they're meek and timid, whether they're stumbling over their words, super nervous, or yeah. And then also too, like, not to sound like crazy, but on the other side, like as the competitor, I feel like that's also something we read. Yeah. We're like, oh, okay, you're nervous. Yeah. Got it. I mean, not that we're not nervous. Right. It's just we see it on you. I see yours a lot more than you can see mine. Got it. Yeah. So, do you play poker? I do. I'm not good, but yes. You kind of know it. Uh-huh. So I don't know if you agree, and I feel like you're the perfect person to ask because you're the head of the head coach. But in my opinion, I feel like mock trial is a lot like poker. A lot. Like you're playing. I can see that. You're playing this game where you're having to read the other side, read the coaches. I mean the judges, adjust your style to whatever you're feeling in the room. Yep. And I feel like because I like to play poker a lot, like Hold'em and stuff. I feel like it's all the same. You can bluff them to make them think you have a big argument when you're making it sound big, but it's really just and nothing. Even how much you want to risk when you ask certain questions, especially on cross. Do I want to go
for the jugular, not knowing how they may respond, or do I just ask the question and I know I'm going to put them in this little box?
Right. It's so cool, and I feel like, because I think a lot of 1Ls have come up to me, hi guys, class of 27, and they said that they've watched the podcast. So my biggest advice is to get into mock trial.
Yes.
Mock trial.
Absolutely.
I always say that, just because it's, a lot of people are like, well, yeah, it looks good on your resume. No, that's not just it. Like, I mean, it looks great, don't get me wrong, but it's like you walk in just miles ahead of the next person.
Yeah, everybody is going to graduate law school with a law degree.
Right.
And then most of those people are going to get a bar card because they've passed the bar. You've got to have something else that sets you apart from the other 300 candidates who are applying for the same job, especially in Houston where there are 3 law schools. You really got to have something to set you apart, and mock trial does that.
Yep, sure does. And also, this year, I'm very excited. We have hopefully a big year ahead of us.
I feel it.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be great. So one of the big goals for like the team, like the teammates, and the reason I'm saying this on the podcast is so that everybody can become. Oh, I'm putting all of you on notice.
Okay.
But it's just, we really want to get more like oomph in the school.
Okay.
And in our community, you know. So we're. I mean, our advocates are amazing, you know, top tier. So I would love for people to start being able to see that before even having to see us in a round, you know. So in other words, we're coming for y'all. Y'all will see us this year, and y'all will see our trophies a lot. Yeah, we're really excited, and we're going to do a lot of community outreach and stuff like that. That's what we're focused on, the team wise. And then of course, coach is like, this is what y'all got to do. So we're doing it. Yeah.
A lot of voluntold.
Right. Yeah. We're like, okay, I'll be there. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll be there, as if I had a choice. Yeah. No, it's gonna be a great year, and I'm really excited. We have a lot of cool competitions coming up, and then of course the big one in TC is something that we're all looking forward to, and then especially me, I'm coming back for that.
It'll be back in Houston as well.
Oh, really?
I told you, yes.
In TC?
This is the 50th year anniversary.
No way.
And it's coming back to where it began, which is Houston.
That is such great news. I'm so happy about that. I love being home and being able to be comfortable in our own courtrooms. And do you know what school it's going to be at? So
we're going to do all of it at the civil courthouse.
All of like the regionals?
Wow. No, I'm sorry. Regionals are going to be at UT.
Okay, so I thought.
Austin.
Okay.
Nationals
is going to be here.
Yes.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yes, and I don't think I've ever competed at UT before. I've got 2 now this year. The Premier, the one that you ran last year, that'll be in Austin, and then we have NTC Regionals back in Austin.
Cool.
So it'll be good. Yeah. And then, we'll bring it back to Houston for the Nationals.
Yeah.
And that'll be our home court advantage.
Yep. I'm super excited. I cannot wait. I feel, and then I know we both said this, but it just feels like a good year. Yeah, it really does. It feels good. It feels solid. I'm excited. I always end the year dead tired and, just wanting to break from everything. And then I go to this conference every summer in Florida. It's called EATS. The acronym is Educators and Teaching, something to that effect. But it's a bunch of mock trial, moot court, dispute resolution coaches and directors. And so you get a little, energized going to that, hearing people who are in the same grind and do it for the same reasons as you. Yeah. And then we have the newbies that show up in the summer and, you're back at it. Bright-eyed, bushy tail. Yep. Optimistic for a new year. I love that. I love, because we've already done, so one of the things that Coach has us do to get ready for the new year is boot camp. Yep. And so we go through, we draw evidence, we, practice all of our parts, opening, closing, all of that. And so we had our first boot camp weekend last weekend. And it was so cool because, the new people on the squad, the now 2Ls, they're just hungry. They're really excited. So they're also coming for all of those trophies, too. So all the premier trophy as well. I'm excited to see them because they're already good. We started to do appearances, and I was like, oh, we're miles ahead this year. Yeah, they're great. I think because they probably paid good attention in class this summer. And if they didn't, maybe that's part of the motivation for us doing it again. Yeah. Over this boot camp. Yeah. To make sure that they got it. Yeah. And it's helpful. I know, for me, at least last year, because we hadn't taken evidence yet. The evidence part of boot camp was like, they put me ahead like
Yeah.
weeks. I didn't have to like freak out like my friends were that weren't in mock trial. So that was super helpful. I'm super excited. And Franco and Pfeiffer, I think they were the ones who the tag team do evidence. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to y'all. They were awesome. I was like, okay, this makes sense.
Yep.
How does this make sense? And like, you know, because everyone always told me like evidence is never going to make sense. It's never going to click. But
no, it will.
Yeah.
You just got to visualize it and see it in action and in practice, and it all works.
Yeah, mock trial helps with that a lot.
Yep.
A lot. Oh, yeah. I feel like evidence professors should have a case file and just like teach through the case file. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's how we learned best in the summer.
And how'd you do in evidence?
I got an A
See that?
in Otero's class.
And she's the
Beast.
goddess,
Yeah.
you know, of evidence.
So
Yeah.
the top of the curve was in that class, and so I beat the top of the curve.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's all thanks to mock trial. And I was telling Coach this the other day, but it's so funny because especially now this year, like we'll make it our presence very known, but people know who are on the mock trial team at our school. And so then anytime we go up to do like a speech or we get called on, everyone's like, okay, there goes the mock trial team again. There they go.
Yeah,
It's just because
follow behind that.
yeah, right. They're like, all right. Yeah. And Charleston was so fun. Like we all helped each other. Everyone was great in my class, but they were just like, all right, we got to mock trial in here. Great. They were just like, oh, we got to deal with that. But now everyone's super cool with our team, but it's just, you can tell that we're all well trained and like, we know exactly what we need to do. We got to get in there, get out, and it's super cool.
I love it.
It's awesome. We're a brand.
That's it.
And speaking of, though, we actually got a few sponsors this year for some T-shirts, and they'll be ready tomorrow. Well, they're already ready.
Okay.
But they're on their way in the mail.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I'm super excited. Attorney Vargas was one of our sponsors.
Shout out to Omar Vargas.
Yes. Thank you guys so much. We're super excited. And Joseph Acevedo and his son. I don't know if you met the junior.
I don't think so.
He just graduated like last year.
From Thurgood? Mm-hmm. Oh, no, I've got to meet him.
Yeah. So his dad is, he's a legacy because his dad came to Thurgood.
Okay.
His dad and a lot of his cousins, all the Acevedos, I used to work for them.
Oh,
so
nice.
They're amazing people. I love them. But yeah, so shout out to Attorney Joseph Acevedo, both of them, the senior and junior. You
Much
guys,
love.
Thank you guys so much. The mock trial team appreciates it, and we're gonna be that much better because of you guys.
And we're going to look that much better because of you guys. So
Yeah,
thank you.
like a team, put together. Yeah, so we're really excited for that. But what is something that you have learned from mock trial that is not mock trial, like a life lesson?
It is that regardless of how you feel about somebody, if they're your partner, you've got to make it work.
Yep.
Professionalism.
Yep.
I learned that as a law student.
Yep.
My partner, at some point during our third year, I guess we had just had enough of each other over the years, and we were done with each other.
Yeah.
And I even told my coach, listen, don't put me on NTC with her. In fact, I'm going to do the Boston competition, which is the Black Law Students Association.
They're at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same time. So you can only do one or the other.
Right.
And I was like, you know what? I've done NTC as a 2L. I'm going to do Boston this year. I'm just going to switch it up. I've had enough of my partner. And
Coach was like, yeah, right.
Yeah. She somehow mediated the issues between my partner and I, and we still hated each other.
Right.
You know, but we went out there and you couldn't tell.
Yeah.
I think we ended up
I love that.
semifinalist in the regional competition.
Wow. That's
And
awesome.
that was the first time ever I was upset that we kept winning because I wanted to be done with her as a partner. And as soon as we lost, I'm like, okay, cool, I'm done.
That is
but
so
we
funny.
just kept winning and advancing. Like, and we got within one round of going. Oh, we were finalists that year. Excuse me. Almost broke to nationals, but didn't. And I look back on it now, like, man, had I had a different mentality, perhaps that would have been the little that put us over, and we would have gotten to nationals. But between that competition and then BOA, the 2L, 3L competition, we were partners again. We hated each other. But you can look at the picture now. We're both smiling, holding the trophy,
Right.
and did not speak a word to each other outside of mock trial. Did not speak a word.
So funny.
So professionalism
Yeah.
is what mock trial taught me.
That's so funny. I learned that same lesson, actually. That's so funny. That's so funny. Malachi's actually my old partner. He's actually coming on the podcast.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we're cool. We're cool.
Nice.
I think we had a similar issue. We like I think what happens is like both of us are really big personalities, and we're both strong and like, and we're like, this is my idea, this is my idea,
and you're
we're
both
like
talented, so that's also
right.
You know, Clash of the Titans.
Yeah. So, but I love Malachi. We're cool all the time. That is, we made it to semis together. We had a big deal. But yeah, he's gonna come on the podcast soon. We're gonna talk about that and like what we've learned and just the whole experience.
I love it.
Yeah, love it. Because I mean, like, it's like, I don't know how to explain it. You know how people say that chickens fight, like roosters cockfight. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I have this theory that like, maybe not all lawyers, but litigators. Yeah. Like when a litigator walks into the room, there's another litigator in the room. They're just gonna be. It's just gonna happen. Yeah. It's just gonna have like you're just gonna like, and then you'll be cool. Nobody has to be in charge. It's just gonna happen. Yeah. And I think that especially when they're two good litigators, it's like, well, I mean, we kind of have to fight. Yeah. You know, we kind of have to. Yeah. I mean, it could be in trial. It could be, but yeah. So, and I think like for me. This is gonna sound dramatic, but like for me, like I respect my partner so much more for being that person that's like, no, I don't think that's good. Mm-hmm. You know, that's not what we're doing, because it wouldn't be productive for someone to be like, yeah, that's good.
Right, just a layover or pushover rather.
Yeah, they're like, no, because that means like if they're pushing back on me, that means they want to win. That means they want to do well, and they're like, I don't think that's a good idea. Because not all of my ideas are going to be good, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. But I'm glad that I had a partner who was just like, yeah, right, we're not doing that. We did beef out, but it was like necessary. I mean, we had great chemistry. Sometimes that's what happens when you have great chemistry. We were going to do the 2-0, 3-0 competition our 2-0 year together. Oh, okay. But I think I had came back from a competition, and I think he had came back from a competition, and we were just so tired.
Gotcha, yeah.
We were so tired. And then we were just like, nah, we'll do 3-0 here. So maybe this year. Maybe we'll come back together.
You know, y'all should do it.
Just go in there and NTC them. Yeah. Yeah. That was so fun though. The whole experience was so fun. That's another thing that people don't realize. I didn't mean for this episode to be all mock trial, but it's just I love mock trial.
I love mock trial as well.
Yeah, we could just talk about it. Yeah. But that's something else that people don't realize with mock trial. It's not just a competition. Like you get to experience traveling, and you get to go and be with your team and seeing, like, where would we go? We went to Waco, we went to Los California. Angeles. We went to Los Angeles. That was super cool. We got to go to the Monica whatever pier.
Santa Monica Pier.
Yeah, because it was like right next to our competition. We went to eat. It was super cool, and that's like something you'll never get to experience that outside of, I mean, you can go by yourself, but with your team, someone who you just bled, sweat and cried with, and then now you get to be like, oh, here I am with my trophy, you know? That was a good competition for us too. We took a trophy in we cleaned up in LA. In what is it called, every category. Our judges, coaches got it, the students got it, and the team we did really well. Absolutely. That was awesome. They will do that again this year at this premier competition. They're gonna kill it. That was super cool. But I feel like if I had to like pick one, and I'm not done with mock trial yet, I have way more lessons to learn, but I think I have the same takeaway. Okay. Like I feel like I've learned a lot of people skills and teammate skills. Yep. Because before this, so I did debate in high school, and I did like solo. Like I didn't have a partner. Okay. So I was just not like, I was like, well, this is weird having a teammate. Yeah. I'll get used to it, but it was just weird. And so I've learned that I think the foundation of any good round, walking into any good round, is a good partnership. For sure. I think that's what I mean, you could walk out of the round, like you said, hating each other, because me and Malachi did the same thing, but like when we won, but like it's a good foundation. So something that I'm going to try and do with all the rest of my teams, whether it's mock trial or 203 or even in real trial, if I have a co-counsel, is like go eat with them. Go hey, what is your life like? You know, do you have a partner? Do you have dogs? Do you have kids? You know, and real trial is easier because you can pick your partner. Right. Unless you're at a big firm and you're assigned, to work this case with this senior associate and whatever. But for the most part, especially if you are on your own, you pick your partner. And so you've already established some sort of rapport with that person. But mock trial, not so much. You're assigned a person, and that's what it is. I really like that, though. I also really appreciate the fact that it's so coach led, because I've talked to friends from other teams, and it's like more student led. Gotcha. And they like pick who goes on teams, and I just feel like we don't have the experience for that. I can't zoom out and see a team from like from overhead perspective and be like, I know that they would work together.
Right.
They might not feel like it, but I know they would be good together, you know? And so I'm appreciative of that for our team because that's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, and then you run into a problem like cliques, you know, the Mean Girls Club, so we only gonna pick our friends and
right, yeah.
Just a lot of headache I can see.
Yeah, and then the goal is to win.
Yeah.
So they probably if the goal is to be a clique, then that's what they'll do. But if it's to win, then this other way is the better way. You know.
I agree.
I feel like that's also something mock trial taught me is what is the goal. Like if you're questioning a witness, what do you want?
Yep.
Do you want to fight with them, or do you want to get this piece of information out? However you need to do it. And so for me, that has translated to all of my life. What's my goal right now? Is my goal to make Dean's List, or is it to do whatever?
Yep.
And then I focus on that. And so that's a lot. I have learned a lot of life lessons through mock trial because, like I said, it's like poker, and I learned a lot of life lessons in poker too. Yeah, I actually wrote a song.
Oh, okay.
Well, I didn't necessarily write it, but you know the song "The Gambler," where he's like, "You got to know when the whole." Okay, well, I rewrote it. Yeah, I rewrote it for trial.
Okay.
And like lawyers. Yeah,
how's it go?
I'll show it. So it's like, he walks in. I wrote it down, but it's like, on a warm summer's evening on a train, I had a case bound for nowhere.
Okay.
I met up with the lawyer. Something. And then like I showed him something. He's like, he opens up his briefcase and then he began to speak. He said, "Son, I made a life out of winning these court cases."
I like that.
And reading and knowing what they'd argue by the way they held their tie.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it goes into the gotta know when to hold them. Yeah, it just goes back into it. It's like I have more lyrics to it, but I kind of forgot them. But it's all like trial specific because it's like I'm reading him, and then like he opened up his briefcase. It's cool. It was a cool little
mock trial karaoke night. Or
yes,
bust it out then.
We should. I'm totally down. My podcast kind of knows about it, but my mom is super into music, so she like put that into me, and so I write music for my brother. He has his own band.
Oh,
so I like write his music sometimes, and he makes all that music. So we're all creative folk.
I love it.
Yeah, but yeah, so I rewrote that song, and so it always reminds me of trial because I'm like, you got to know when to hold them, like hold on to your witness, and then fold it just like, you know what, you can have it. I'll bring it up in closing. Away. Yep. And know when to run because sometimes sometimes you got to run out of that. Yeah. Absolutely. So I think other people have told me that they think obviously chess reminds them of mock trial. I haven't learned chess yet, but
I like chess.
For me, it's poker. Everyone has their own little like connection to it, but yeah, that's so cool. So what is the biggest difference between Mississippi and Texas? Like the culture, the weather,
the weather's about the same.
That's unfortunate. I love Texas, but it's so hot.
Texas obviously is a big difference. Right. The diversity and I'm talking Texas, really Houston, I guess is what we talk about. It's much more diverse here than where I'm from.
Okay.
The food is delicious in both places, but there's more variety of it here, which I appreciate. And obviously better Mexican food here.
Really?
Than Mississippi, yeah.
So, and you mean in Houston?
Houston, yes.
Okay. So I come from Corpus.
Okay.
Shout out to Corpus, my hometown, and then San Antonio. Shout out to San Antonio. I went to undergrad there.
Okay.
I have yet to find any good Mexican food.
Really?
Yeah.
But don't go to Mississippi.
That's fair.
You're thoroughly disappointed.
I know. Every time I have someone on the podcast or from the Valley, my friends are from the Valley, they're always like, they can't find it.
I've had some delicious food in the Valley.
Oh my God.
In the Valley. That's the best Mexican food I've ever had in my life.
I always say this, and I hope my Corpus, because my hometown I love my hometown. Yeah. And I hope they don't take this the wrong way, but I always say like, damn, I wish I was from the Valley. Because they just have a different vibe. Yeah. There's a different type of Latino. They have a different food. Oh, it's so good. Right by Mexico. And then Mexico. Have you been to Mexico?
I have.
The food there is just insane.
It is. I go off the beaten path just to go to local, restaurants and things like that.
I feel like I talk about food every podcast because food it's so delicious. Yes. I'm a foodie. My dad is even more of a foodie.
Okay.
He has his TikTok, actually, poor dad. He'll be watching this. He lost his TikTok. Like somebody did a copyright infringement on his voice.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. He was just like, what do I say?
Yeah.
And I was like, you got me. I went through law school and I couldn't tell you what how to handle that. I already went through.
Voice.
Weird, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was fighting for it, but he got a new TikTok and it's already picking back up. But he had like thousands of followers on his old TikTok.
Okay.
But a lot of the reason why people like to follow him is because he would make TikToks because he likes to travel as well.
Okay.
And he'll make TikToks about like his food and this place and show his food off, and it always looks so good.
Nice.
It always looks so good. I'm always like, can you bring me leftovers? Like, you send it to me. But yeah. And I feel like I always end up talking about my parents on this podcast, but or my family, because they're such a big part of who I am. Mm-hmm. So for you, do you have like you had kids, right, in law school?
Yes.
So how was that?
It was
like meeting with a manager?
Because law school was the first time that since I was, 16, mm-hmm. that I didn't work full time. And so, especially with having a wife and 2 kids, right, who were, younger than, preteens, mm-hmm. it was tough financially.
Yeah, I bet.
We ended up living with my mother-in-law while I was in law school. And shout out to my mother-in-law and my mother, because without those two holding down the house part, I wouldn't be able to do the school part. And they allowed me to do the school part as if I was, a single 24-year-old kid with no responsibilities at home.
Shout out to them.
I do
That's
all
awesome.
the extracurricular activities, mock trial,
right,
all the BOA stuff, Board of Advocates, SBA, which is the Student Bar Association.
Mm-hmm. You were in SBA?
Mm-hmm.
That's so
cool.
I
was 1L president, 2L president, and SBA president.
What? How did I not know that about you? Wow. Yeah. That's a
lot of school time.
Right, yeah. For everybody who doesn't know, because you might not know about law school, SBA president is like the president. Like, that's like the whole school is under your belt, and that's a huge responsibility. Mm-hmm. That's so awesome. I didn't know that about you.
I was busy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I bet.
I was busy, which is why I don't care about students' excuses for not having time to do X, Y, and Z. You can do it all. I did it all, and I'm not special.
Yep.
I'm not even from here. So
yeah, not only did you do it all, but you had a family.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a big deal. Wow, that's all. I didn't know that about you, Coach. That's so cool.
But now my youngest kid does not want to be a lawyer because he said I did too much homework. That's what he remembers from me going to law school.
Yeah.
But whatever.
I think my brother's the same way. My little brother, he's like my pride and joy. He's like my, I don't know. My mom always gets mad, but I'm like, he's like my little son. Like he was, when I was born, when he was born, I was 6.
Okay.
And so I got to literally watch him go from a baby to now he's 18. So nice. like I have my memory intact from 6 years old. So it's been really cool. And so he's like, I'm like, yeah, like, what do you think about, law school or whatever? And he's like, dude, I don't want to do homework and do paperwork for the rest of my life. And I'm like, all right, fair enough.
It's a grind.
You pick up your own thing. And he sure has. But yeah, and it's really not for everybody. It's not. That's why lawyers make up such a small population of like the population. Yeah, that's how you say it. But it's really rewarding. But
it is, and it looks cool on TV. But it's actual hard work that goes into getting that law degree that washes a lot of people out.
Yeah, yeah. Which is like, which sucks. But at the same time, like for me, and you're already an attorney. Like I wouldn't want to hire an attorney who couldn't even handle law school. Yeah, you gotta. Yeah. You got to be tough in our field. You really do.
Absolutely.
Even if you're not a litigator, you got to be on your marks all the time, or else someone is in danger. Yeah. Whether it's their life, and actually, we didn't even say what you practice. What is your practice area?
Criminal defense.
Okay.
I was a prosecutor after law school. I jumped straight to the Harris County District Attorney's office. Stayed there for about 6 years, and a couple years ago, a year and a half ago, I guess, I started my own practice doing criminal defense. That's so cool. And it's so far so good.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I feel like you have a really good experience under your belt being a DA first and then going criminal defense, because you just know how both sides work. Yeah. And I that's what a lot of people have said, that is just like, it's kind of like going in the opposite side's camp and looking at their playbook and being like, cool. Let me go back to my team. Yeah.
But you know what helped me with that?
What?
Mock trial.
Oh, yeah.
Because in mock trial, as you know, you've got to see both sides of the case. And you've got to flip a switch. At 9 a.m., I'm the prosecution. Right. At 2 p.m., I'm the defense. Yeah. So you've got to have that bipolar nature about yourself and be able to see both sides of the controversy and believe both sides with all your heart.
Right.
You know?
And that's so funny because you were there when I did it, but sometimes you'll forget, right? You've been competing like for a whole weekend. You're tired. It's the last rounds and your brain is just like flickering on and off. And in NTC, so NTC is like a competition where you have to prepare for both sides of the case. So you get a case file, and sometimes you can be state, sometimes you can be defense. It just depends on what they tell you. So I don't remember what we were, but I go up. No, I think we were state, and so we had relied on a witness who was like not really well at seeing or hearing, and she was really far away. All of those things.
All the bad things.
All the bad things you don't want a witness to be. Of course, they gave it to us. But so I go up and I'm like, give you my closing. And for those who don't know what a closing statement is, at the very end of the trial, closing is the very last argument you can make, the very last thing you can say. And so I go up and I'm like, it's so funny to me till this day. Her name was Lynn Brantley. And I'm like, Lynn Brantley can't see. She can't hear. She was far away. And then it clicked that I was saying my defense closing. And I said, is what they want you to think. That's what they want you to believe.
Perfect save.
I was like, oh my God. I didn't think it was going to happen to me. It happens to everybody that like you forget what side you're on and then you start arguing. And then I came up to the opposing counsel and their opener was like, I didn't even notice. And their closer was like, oh girl, I saw that. Yeah. And I was like, she was like, good save though. So funny.
Excellent. My first trial as a defense attorney, I messed up and said, the state's ready. It was just a little laugh with the court reporter and the judge because they knew I had just switched sides. But my goal for that entire trial was not to say the state. And I almost got through it. One time I slipped up, but it was all good.
Yeah. That's such a lawyer joke. Yeah. You know? I feel like not a lot of people would understand why it's so funny. Because it's like, my bad, y'all.
That's it.
My other personality came out a little bit. Yeah. It was so funny. I remember walking, sitting in my seat like, you dork.
But you got it.
Yeah, we got through it. We pushed through it. You know, something else that I wanted to talk to you about is being quick on your feet.
Yep.
So it's something that mock trial taught me, like in a weekend. I feel so in our NTC competition, we practiced like how we think what trial will go for months, right? And then we get to NTC and then we have to pivot like quick, like, oh, we didn't even think about that argument, include it. And then we just do it well and make it seem like you've done it for months. So the night before our semifinal round, I don't know if you remember. So we sat at a round table, our whole team, everybody, witnesses, everybody. We sat at a round table just going through the case file. I could probably put a photo in, but going through the case file. And we were like, that's a good argument. And then just scrapped my entire cross and was like, this is it. This is the new cross. Go do it tomorrow. Yep. And so I feel like that weekend taught me like, oh, I can do this. I can make, on the drop of a hat, make an argument and push through. Yep. And so I feel like that's so important for a lawyer or litigator specifically to know, like, when did that kind of click for you?
Mock trial as well. You've got to, once you've got the skills, it's like, if I'm in construction, if I know how to build a house, I can pivot on, small design changes here and there. Right. Because I'm a builder, I do this. Yeah. And it's the same for me with mock trial. Once you've got the framework down, you can pivot, call an audible at the last second, and you'll be fine. Whereas a non-mock trialer might be like, oh, shit, wait a minute, I need to process this. Yeah. No, I can't do this right now. I need to practice this. Yeah. But once you got the skills, and mock trial is what gave it to me. Yeah. Like I said, I didn't do mock trial or anything like that before law school. And so that very first competition, and I've always been a slick talker, so that also helped. Right, right. But to be able to translate that with the legal framework, it was a match made in heaven as far as mock trial goes. Yep. Because, whatever you throw at me, even if you got me, I'm not going to show you that you got me. I'm going to say something. It may not be wrong. I mean, that right. Poker face. But I'm going to say it confidently. Yeah. And I'm just going to argue as if I'm right. But that's mock trial for you. Yeah. I remember one time in practice, it was an evidence battle. And JP was like the presiding judge over us. And then we go, and I don't remember even what I said. Honestly, I don't remember. But afterwards, he sat down and he was like, wait a minute. He looked at me. He was like, you were dead wrong. And he like ruled in my favor. He was like,
damn, you got me. Hold on, that didn't even make sense.
Beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. I think you gave me that critique one time. You were like, sometimes I think you started arguing against yourself, but you did it well. So I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Give her the ruling.
That's
yeah.
It. Yep.
It's
Say
so
it with
funny.
your whole chest, right or wrong.
Yeah, I remember like one of our teammates was like arguing a rule of evidence that didn't even exist, and I was like, damn, that she got me. And then I was like, wait, that doesn't even help. That's not even a rule. It's so funny. Yeah. But it's like, it's poker. Like, you can pretend like you have a pair of aces when you got nothing.
Yep.
You got a pair of twos. But yeah, I feel like mock trial is giving us so much. And I'm so excited to see, because I've gone to actual trial and sat in and been like, okay, our 1Ls, well, our 2Ls would wipe the floor with you.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. And of course, we're not supposed to find that out until we get into law, like the law field, so that we're like not like, okay, well, I know everything, you can't coach me anymore.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
That's something else that I think is important, and I feel like you can probably attest to as a coach, like being coachable. You know?
Yeah, all the talent in the world does not matter if you are not coachable.
Yeah.
Nobody knows everything, coaches included.
Yeah.
But still, you've got to come in with the right mindset that this is a team sport. I have a coach. I need to listen to my coach.
Right.
Trust the coach to put us in the best position to win. Everybody has a role to play. I'm going to execute my role, but I also have to trust and allow the coach to do what they need to do.
Right.
Which is guide, use their experience to, perhaps prevent some of the pitfalls that you're running full speed towards, but you have no idea because you're just new and full of vigor and don't know what you don't know. Yeah. But coachability will make or break
an advocate. 100%.
For sure.
Yeah. And I think, like, again, it translates to the real world. Like, I've talked to people who are younger than me, just cousins and like anyone younger than me, and I'm like, oh, well, like, maybe don't whatever I'm thinking about taking a car payment out and getting a new apartment, and I'm like, okay, well, what job do you have? And like trying to like, okay, well, that's not what worked for me. And they're just like, what would you know about that? Yeah. Goodbye. And then, they do what we all did. Right. And then they fall, and then they're like, okay, you might have had a point. Yeah. And so it's like, that's something that I've realized that would make me such a better person in general, being able to grow as a person and being like, okay, you have value no matter who you are. Absolutely. Like I used to work with kids as well, and kids like taught me so much. They have no life experience, but yet they can teach you so many things, all the way up to like the oldest person like it doesn't matter who they are, they can teach you something, whether it's something like, oh, I can take that, or something like, oh, I cannot do that because they did it and I don't think it worked. I think it's absolutely. I think it's really cool how, I don't know, I feel like this mock trial, this episode's gonna be the mock trial episode, because it's crazy how mock trial just like does that, and it's weird. I'm like, who created it? Who would they had something in mind?
Yeah, but I'm glad they did. Whoever it was, bless their soul and probably rest in peace.
Probably,
it's been a while.
Forever. Yeah, but it's so cool. And then something that I've also been thinking about is like when I was like really tired and like I'm done. I can't practice anymore. I don't want to do this again. I've done this cross 30 times. Yeah. You talk to someone like someone who I really appreciate talking about mock trial with is Coach Pfeiffer. Oh, yes. Because he loves it, Yeah. It's just like, it's more than just mock trial. It's like, this is something that I love to do. So refreshing myself with someone and just being like, hey, like, what do you think about this? Yeah. And then being like, oh my God, like this, and then you could make this objection, but then you could make this. And it's just like, it's so refreshing. Kind of like how you said that conference, like everybody just being around people who love what you love. It's like, it's so refreshing. Yeah. And it's like what will get me through, We can all geek out and nerd out about things that regular people look at us like, okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And it's so cool because my mom and dad, so they like to come to our competitions, and they always like, I always travel with the posse, and they're actually getting into it. Like they're learning, and they're like, well, why didn't you object to this? And why didn't you object to that? And they're like, but why didn't you limit that out, Jules? And I'm like, okay, first of all, who taught you limity? Who taught you that? Because it takes forever for everyone to. That's a special term. Oh yeah, so, yeah. They're like, "What? You should have really limited that out." Yeah. And then they're like, "We'll walk out of it," and then they'll be like, "Hey, I have notes," I'm like, yeah, give me the notes. Yeah.
I love it.
It's so cool because like my family, I'm the first in my family to go and really do college,
Okay.
let alone law school. And so it's so cool being able to elevate all of us, you know, like me being in these rooms puts us all in the rooms. Like legacy ball, I know it's like all alumni, but I want to bring my dad because
you absolutely should.
My dad can work a room. Like he can just walk out of there and be like, "Well, this is my best friend.
Yes.
We just met, and I'm in his wedding.
I love it.
So you know, that's him. And so it's cool. And maybe you have the same experience because you're first gen, like elevating all of us together. This experience, you know, it's
beautiful. We grew up dirt poor, you know, and single parent home, and all of the, you know, stigmas and hurdles that a
comes
poor
along
black
with that.
dude would come from Mississippi I had. But the fact that my mother, she didn't get her high school diploma, and I saw her when I was younger, walking about 1.5 miles, 2 miles to this place to get her GED as an adult with all 5 kids by then, and we didn't have a car, and so just seeing her push for a GED was important to me, and I realized at that young age I've got to get mine, and you know I don't want to be having to walk as a parent, you know, with all these kids to get a GED. Let me go ahead and knock mine out on the front end, and that's what I did, and I always wanted to be a lawyer growing up just from watching TV shows.
Me too.
So I knew I had to keep going past the high school diploma and past the bachelor's degree. And if it's a goal you have in mind, you know, you can reach it.
Yep.
And that's what happened with me, being first gen. And both of my sons now are in college.
Oh,
so
congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
They are following in my footsteps. You know, I think, they are my niece as well. So this generation under my siblings, and I was the only person of my siblings to go to college, but now we've got 3 for 3. So the 3 who are old enough to be in college are in college. So hopefully that trend continues. And,
that's awesome.
You know, we've broken that generational curse.
That's amazing. Yeah. For me, so my grandma's mom, there was like 13 of them, I want to say. And then from there, it went to my dad's generation. There's 6 of them, I think. And then we're Mexican, so we have like 30,000 kids.
Gotcha.
But so my dad's like the next generation, which is me and my cousins. And there's like 50 of us.
Okay.
And so of all those generations, everybody, I was the first one.
Nice.
Yeah. And so like already the younger ones are like, hey, so how'd you do that? Or what did you do in high school to get you ready? And like we weren't having those conversations when I was in high school, you know. And so I think it's super cool, and it's a lot of pressure. Being the first, you know, being like kind of the role model, because I'm just a person. Like I just,
like you are the trailblazer.
Yeah,
You're doing the impossible, right?
Yeah, so. Which is, it's obviously very possible, but it didn't feel like that when I was doing it, and I'm sure it doesn't feel like that for them.
Right.
But it's cool being the person, them come up to me being like, hey, so how's school going? And I always want to like bring them and like, hey, look, this is what it looks like, because before I was like, I don't even know what law school would even look like. Like, what does classrooms look like? Like a courtroom? Like, I don't know. So it's really cool being first gen and being able to like do that. And I always say that I walk into a room. I'm never walking into a room alone.
Right.
And I always have like all of them with me, whether they're actually there or not. Like my dad is in that room. My mom is, my brother, especially my brother's in that room. And like, I feel like I'm able to open doors. Like my dad and my mom open doors for me like crazy because they broke generational curses.
Yep.
So for me, being able to open doors that like we didn't even know existed yet, it's crazy. It's crazy. Law school gives you so much if you take it, you know? It
does. It's a grind. You got to want it.
Oh, yeah.
And earn it. But the prize at the end is so worth it.
Yeah, yeah. And I was on for the orientation for the new 1Ls, I was working in a panel. And one of the panelists, she was like, Attorney Edwards, she was like, I was like shocked by how like the legal community lives. Like, it's just like, I've never seen people live like this before, because I also like, she was like first gen as well. Okay. And she's just like, man, like they just have so much life. Like they're always doing events and just going around and like speaking and just, you know, just things that just, I didn't think about growing up,
Yeah.
you know? And that's not to say, like, I always say this, and I actually got it from a good friend of mine, that I didn't grow up rich with money, but I still grew up rich because I had love and
Yes,
family.
absolutely.
And of course we didn't have a lot of money growing up, but I never wanted for anything that I didn't get, you know? And so being able to turn around and to give my kids something more than I had is like,
Blessings.
oh, you know? Yeah.
Absolutely.
And all the one else coming in, anybody watching the podcast that is like in law school, thinking about law school, or even just in a not normal because we're also normal, but just in a different setting, in a different profession, like you get out what you put in.
Wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah. I think that's like,
Wholeheartedly agree.
I think that's the biggest thing about law school. Like, well, what are you gonna, like, law school will multiply, right? If you give it an hour of work, it'll give you 2 hours of work because you've put in work, you know? And I think that's the biggest lesson that I was trying to tell the new one. I was like, well, what do you want from this experience?
Right.
You want to come in and you want to make it everything that you can make it, or you just want to go to school? Because there's 2 different ways to do law school. And in my opinion, you're doing yourself a disservice if you just go to school there. There's so many opportunities. Like, there's so many, like, for example, like being able to be one of the helpers and like leaders of the program is opening doors, because now I'm able to talk to all of the other leaders at the school, and that in turn helps us. Like SBA, all of them, they're like, hey, let me know when you need something, and we're gonna push it to our people so that they can come help y'all, and vice versa, you know. So like all of that is network. And
networking.
It's my friend, he says relationships cost more than money, or are worth more than money.
They are.
Yeah, they're worth more than money.
They are. I came here not knowing anybody, not even one lawyer. But because of law school and my law school experience between mock trial, but really SBA, the networking.
Right.
And getting to know even the faculty and administration at the law school, those connections is what I left law school with, a huge network.
Yeah.
Just because of that.
Yeah.
And I got 3 years prior, didn't know a single lawyer.
Yeah.
In Houston, Texas at all.
Know anybody in Houston. Yeah. Now, and a big thanks to the podcast. Like, I was telling this to someone that I was gonna have on. Like, it's like a physical representation of my network. Like, you can go and watch episode 1 and be like, okay, so she's connected to this person. I can get in touch with them, because at the end I'm always like, hey, here's their contact information. Okay. If you need anything, whatever, which we'll do obviously at the end of the podcast, but then people can get in touch with that person, and then boom, network, you know? So it's really cool. Law school has just been a really cool experience for me. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's been tough. Yeah. But it's been a really cool experience for me. It's just becoming a whole different person, I feel. Do you feel the same?
I do. I always, had that goal in mind of being a lawyer, but law school also taught me, and I also went to law school thinking it was just about being a trial lawyer,
Right, me too.
I don't know any other type of law. It's just you go and you be a trial lawyer.
I'm like, boring. Yeah.
But it taught me that there are so many facets to the law, and if you want it, you can do it. Yep. Try as much as you can in law school, and you figure out what you're good at, what you're not good at, what you like, what you don't like. Yeah, law school really teaches you a lot about yourself as well. And to that point, like, I came into law school thinking like, oh, it's just courtroom trial people, right? And then I meet all of these people who are in transactional work, and I'm like, man, I have so much respect for you. Yep. There's so many things you're juggling at once, the same way we're juggling a bunch at once. Right. And it's really, really cool. It's really cool. And also, too, when you meet another litigator out in the world. Yes. I have, I'm doing a clinic this year, so Professor Johnson is my, another one of my mentors and my advisors and stuff. And she was a litigator herself, and we just nerded out. Yep. I was like, and then one time in trial, and she's like, what? And then one time with me, and it's so cool being able to find community in law school. Yeah, and Professor Johnson she's amazing. Amazing. Love you, Professor Johnson. That's my fairy godmother. Oh, literally. Yes. She's God's gift to earth. Yeah, God's gift to advocacy. Yes, for sure. Yeah, but I've had a great time, Coach. And this has been fun. Yeah, it's been a fun time. If you guys need any criminal defense work, if you need, is that mainly your area, or do you? Yes, that's mainly my area. Okay, yeah. So if you do any criminal defense work, and a lot of times people don't even know what that entails. So do you want to kind of like give like a umbrella, like, well, this is what criminal defense includes? Yes, I can tell you the what it does not include for me, which is traffic tickets. I don't do traffic tickets.
Okay.
But anything else, so from a shoplifting at Walmart up to murder, and everything in between, I do.
You cover
I
it.
love. Harris County is my playground, but I go outside of Harris County.
Okay.
Just whenever they call, I roll.
Yep.
And so criminal defense is not for the weak, for anybody who is thinking of that area of law, but it is so exciting.
Yeah.
So exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into it. I'll be doing that in the clinic. But I'll leave your Instagram, your phone, everything that you guys might need to contact Attorney Adams, whether it's to network or even if you need an attorney. Coach Adams is, like, if you've ever seen any of us trial folk in trial, okay, well, we were taught by Coach Adams. So imagine that. So hire Attorney Adams for anything you might need criminal defense. But I appreciate you coming on the pod.
Thank you for having me.
I've had a great time. This has been Lawtina Live. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.